basically what we're learning in Basiligani these days, the little I'm able to tap into and relate, is that even having a thought about something is already your link to that thing, even if that thing does not exist. But even if you're not thinking about the thing, but you are putting yourself in the possibility, like there's a possibility of me having a relationship, so you have a relationship. There's a possibility for me to consider a job in that place. So I have a connection to that place. Just as a reminder, we're talking about Yud Shvat, the day the Rebbe became a Rebbe, the Hilula of the Yotzeit of the Frierdiker of the previous Rebbe. And spoke about this past Chabad by the Fabrengen, but to understand, many people ask, why isn't there a new Chabad Rebbe? And maybe there is potential, there are potential people who could have been good, decent leaders, and at least give some form of guidance, not at the level of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, obviously, but somehow, why didn't we appoint someone? And many people have the question, and I think it's very legit, and I don't have the answer. I just know, personally, for me, as I know what the Rebbe is for me and what it was for me, and what it does to me and what it means to me, I cannot see any form of replacement. Now, that's not enough of an answer, because people might say, fine, but you still need a new leader. So we spoke about two things recently. I gave an answer to someone, and I said a very raw truth about some facts of life. And I mean, I happen to speak from personal experience. So Baruch Hashem, I was zoiche to bury my father already almost 9 years ago. So I can speak from personal experience. So my father passed away at the age of 67. He was relatively young. He was sick for about 2 years, and unfortunately he passed away. It was very tragic for the family, and at the same time it was very, very normal. Someone of a certain age gets sick and passes away. That's part of life. It's part of life. God forbid, I know someone. I'm meeting with him. I spoke to him. I met him yesterday. I spoke to him today, who had to bury his own son last year, and he told me some very harsh facts about what happened and what he did, and trying to resuscitate his own son. And that person to me is no longer on the same frequency that regular people who experience traumatic experiences. Anyway, so my father passed away, and it is very painful. It was tragic for whatever you want, but it was a very normal situation. My father, Baruch Hashem, all the kids were married, and we were pained that he's no longer around to have some nachas or whatever. But that was it. So I told my friend, I said, listen, so my father passed away, so family gets together. My mother's still around, Baruch Hashem, and we're talking, and what do you think for a moment that someone would say, okay, so who is the next dad in the family? Right? Yes. Do you relate to the question? Like no one comes up and says, who's the next dad? Who's going to take over? Who's going to sleep in his bed with mom? Who's going to take over the job? No one is becoming the new dad. Every one of the households, every one of the children, boys and girls, are becoming a little bit of the dad. The internalizing and assimilating and becoming that micro form of a father, of the parent. And I feel exactly the same about the Rebbe. You cannot, you you could ask the question, after the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away, there was another Rebbe. So why can't we find someone now? Frierdiker Rebbe also was unreplaceable. And many Hasidim had a hard time to accept even accept the Rebbe. So that's why I say I don't have the full answer. But as of now, I haven't seen a person who can become the new dad. The Rebbe not only became the new dad after the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away, but he completely, he raised a complete full generation to the max. And today, I think we're way too invested into being a part of the Rebbe to even consider the possibility of appointing one who's going to be the substitute of the Rebbe we're missing or the Rebbe we need. So that's my 2 cents about why there's Chabad still did not. I mean, think about it. We're learning Basi Legani Tafshin Chafei. Tafshin Chafei is 1965. 1965 is 15 years after the passing of the Frierdiker Rebbe. Most of the Hasidim who were alive then remembered the Frierdiker Rebbe. But they're 15 years into the Rebbe's leadership. You know where Chabad is holding 15 years after? And they're preparing for the Basi Legani. And I'm hearing Hasidim recounting what it was like. We're 30 years today. We're 30 years after, and we're still the same. We're still the same. So there is some reality that makes it completely impossible to consider another potential substitute even in a smaller caliber. It's not. There's no possibilities. Now, the other form of response that I've found in the past regarding that question is that one time on Israeli TV, a few years after, I think it was 3 or 4 years after Gimel Tammuz, after the passing of the Rebbe, they interviewed Rabbi Steinsaltz on Israeli TV, and they asked him, about Chabad, the Rebbe, and the interviewer goes, there are rumors that you are a potential candidate to be the next Lubavitcher Rebbe. Now, I remember personally that was true, by the way. In the Jewish secular world, the only figure they would consider being a possible mind to the mind of the Rebbe, because we're not looking for a scholar in Torah. We're looking for much more than that. People were saying Rabbi Steinsaltz. And that already tells something about the person, by the way. So the guy on TV asked point blank, there are rumors that you are a potential candidate, being the next Lubavitcher Rebbe. So whoever knew Rabbi Steinsaltz, he was beyond genius, but also he was very simple and very sarcastic. So he gave that little cute smile and paused. He didn't respond right away. He gave a big smile, a silent smile. Already you could tell that that was an interesting question. Mm-hmm. And he goes, there are more probabilities for me to become the next president of the Republic of China than becoming the Lubavitcher Rebbe. That was the response on TV. What does that mean? It means that even in Hasidus, there's no shaykhs. There's no link. There's no possible potential to envision any form of future outcome of some form of similarities in the two. That means something that is completely detached. But other than that, when you say something, when you describe something as being way beyond, when you say it's way beyond, it means it's connected to that thing. If you're saying he's way above everyone, so he's connected to everyone. He's above them. So I read today in Basi Legani Tafshin Memhei, the Rebbe says, the fact that you say that the Or and Sof, the infinite light of God, was so intense that it had to be removed in order to create the world, it means that this intense light that does not give a possibility for the world to exist has a shaykhus to creation. But it can't have a connection to the world because it's too intense to allow the universe to exist, space to exist. That's why there was a tzimtzum. Guess what? The fact that it doesn't let the world exist, it means it does something to the world. That's what the Rebbe says. So even the Or and Sof Shelifnei Tzimtzum, which is before any link, connection to the world, has a connection. Because it poses a problem to the existence of the world. Back to what we're learning now. Chesed, what's chesed? In the most raw aspect is just projecting. Projecting is an act of giving. What's projecting? Chesed is or. Vayehi or is the first thing that appeared by creation is or, is light. So it's projecting what? So at the source it's very raw. And Hashem allocates part of that raw material potentially to everyone, but that can translate into anything. We've been talking about this again and again and again and again. We finally sealed that conversation, understood the infrastructure, and established that Hashem gives it. The reason why we need to get involved and be part of it is just because to make it from raw, abstract, detached substance to something practical that can nurture my needs as a finite being, there's a process. And I need to be part of that process. And that's why I need to daven, I need to learn, I need to do my ishtadlus, I need to go out to work, I need to get involved. But really, who gives it? Hashem already gave it. Hashem already allocated it. And therefore, if I am being corrupted by the process, and I'm like, since I need to get involved, so I should get credit for it. And since I get credit, I'm able to do more. If I'm able to do more, I'm going to, sorry to say, God, but I'm going to have to let go of that moment of learning that I have set aside and have to work more. Or I won't be able to stay as long in the shul today because I have to run to work. I won't be able to give so much tzedakah because I don't have enough. I won't be able to stay with my family at home because I have to go work. Whatever excuse I'm making in order to not do what I'm supposed to do and instead go spend more time in the process that Hashem wants me to, I'm making a mistake. And I just want to read the last lines that we read last week, 357, page 357. If for whatever reason that God decided that the person did not earn that raw kindness, raw projection of chesed, of sustenance that Hashem has to give to that person, it was not allocated in Atzilus to begin with, to the person. God forbid in a case where for a person it has been decided on Rosh Hashanah that there won't be anything for him this year. Which is possible. There are stories like that. We beg Hashem every year for ksiva v'chasima toiva. We're not sure. We're not entitled to an obvious automated ksiva v'chasima toiva. So what if a person doesn't get that? Or even if a person does get some form of ksiva v'chasima tova, meaning he is inscribed in the book of life, but then you need to do something. Get a life. When you tell someone is alive, you didn't get a life. What do you mean get a life? Take it and bring it down. So you have earned your chesed. You have earned your quota of chesed in Atzilus. But there's a long process from chesed Atzilus till your pocket. So what are you supposed to do? If it does not come down into the vessels and the structure of Bria Yitzira Asiya, which is the lower Olamot, worlds, below Atzilus, in order to come into the physical world, in order to become material, what is going to help? By the way, do you know the feeling where you're trying to make a sale, you're trying to close a deal, you're trying to meet that person, you're trying you're trying to create a product. I was speaking to someone today, told me, oh, this guy is about to make an amazing deal and everything. Said, did he ever make a good deal? It's like, no, but every time there were stories, it's like, so he has the best product, best network, but he's not closing deals. So, you do not have the chesed from Hashem. So, I think there's an expression, it's in English also, but in French, I think the expression goes or means, I'm not sure, that like you're in a batter, you have a batter, and what do you batter? Water. Ain't gonna grow. You're not gonna, if you batter the dough or the flour or the eggs, you might get something. You might get some cake or mayonnaise or something. But if you batter water, there's nothing there. So, us doing the ishtadlus, all the efforts to close the deal won't help if you did not earn or did not receive, for whatever reason it is, that luck, that mazel, that chesed that Hashem allocates. The imkain, I'm reading the last lines, we read this last week, but it's fascinating. 357, the imkain, ha'ikar u sheyiye masur le'elokus. I need to be fully dedicated to what? The source. The source. That's what he wants. That's what he needs me for. Kulehai ve'ulai, after doing all of that, he might be kind and allocate and grant me some. He does, by the way, even if I'm fully dedicated to him, he doesn't have to give me anything. We are delusional, and it's very childish. It's a very childish belief. It's a very childish belief that because I'm a good boy, so my tat is going to give me a reward. So because I'm doing what Hashem wants, so Hashem is going to give me what I want. No, it doesn't work that way. He doesn't owe it to me. He doesn't have to give me any of it. But Chafetz Chesed, he desires kindness, he wants. So in general, he gives, and actually he gives before we earned it, and he gives more than what we deserve. So generally speaking, it's working out, but it doesn't have to. So what's the most important? Ha'ika'u she'yeh masur le'elokut. Dedicate yourself to the source, to God himself. There are more chances to earn something. Now we learned at the beginning of, we're getting towards the end, we learned at the beginning of the Kuntres that it is possible sometimes to be connected to the opposite of the source. Meaning, not only I'm not connected to the source, but I'm connected to the source of the opposition, to the klipot, to the forces of evil. Forces of evil means the forces, the energy that does not recognize godliness, that tries to delegitimize godliness in the world and still get abundance. You can get a lot of shefa when you cheat. You remember we spoke about this. You can get a lot of, you can earn a lot when you cheat. Faster and more. So why are we saying here that if you don't have the bracha from Hashem, then there's no point of you trying? You could. Shortcuts. And we said that because it's not a good match, because the connection is not a safe connection, eventually it won't last. It won't last. And when it will stop, it might be very, very bitter. We even spoke that when a Jew enters the space of klipot, of forces of impurity and draws a lot of abundance in there because he has the power to. But then eventually it stops. The forces of evil take revenge on him. They're mad at him. You did not belong here. You came here. You spoiled us and then you took advantage of us. We're mad at you. And God, that's what we learned in Kuntres. I'm using my own words. That is what we learned in Kuntres Umayan. And I remember giving the example of someone who integrated a gang and did amazing because he's not from that crew, came into the gang, integrated the gang, completely made complete changes in the gang, made new rules in the gang.
Infiltrated?
Yeah. Like the gangs usually you can't get,
Right.
But this guy was very charismatic and whatever, he managed to, and then he corrupted the whole thing and they're mad at him. And once they're mad at him, they're going to come after him. It's like the mafia, basically. So there are possibilities for a person to have tremendous abundance. So I just want to say something. I've seen too many people who have it all and their eyes are completely dark. They can't see. And I mean to say very simply that they're wise, they're healthy, they have basic social life, which is a stable family, they have financial stability. They are traditionally connected to some form of faith, and sometimes more than traditionally, like actively, and yet they're lacking one thing. You know what it is? Joy. And because of that, everything they own it's counterproductive. It's hurting them. And they're bitter and they're in pain. And they feel broke. They feel broke. Now, I know some people who are completely insane in their mind and they have nothing in life, but they're happy. So they wake up late, they do nothing, and they're happy. So which one is better? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Because why are you sweating so much if at the end of the day you're broke? On the other hand, why are you so happy if you have nothing? So we need a balance. We live in Olam Hazeh. In this world, we have to feed our soul. We have to feed our bodies also. We have to feed our minds. We have to feed our emotions. It's a matter of balance. We have to give, but we have to be able to receive. Right? We have to share, but we need our own space. Every person has his own, what we call in the Halacha and in Gemara, his own Dalet Amos. You have your square space. Dalet Amos is where you can stretch your arms to, and
radius.
Yeah, of that space is yours. Dalet Amot shel Adam konim lo. If you come a bit forward and a little too close to Gabi, he's going to get uncomfortable. Clearly.
He's going to feel it.
He's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to bother his entire essence. Yeah. Unless it's his wife, seriously, Ishtoi kegufo, or kids for a different reason. Because Ahava mekalkelet hashura. Your love for something ruins your discipline. Corrupts your discipline. So that's why you're fine with this. But really what it means, you don't feel threatened by it. They are part of your space. They are part of your life. But otherwise, you need your space. Now, even with your closest allies, call them, you still need some form of space. I say something a little stupid, but when you go to the bathroom, you need to be alone. Like regardless of how much of a giver you are,
You need to take that time.
Yeah. I mean, I know when you're home and you have babies and they push the door and you come in or whatever. Like there could be some crazy stuff out there sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But that's not that's not normal. There are not normal situations, but like you need your space. So you need a balance between having joy, having permanent joy, but also, like I like to say so many times, never being satisfied. Doing something. So, but there are people who have everything and they don't have joy. And when they don't have joy, everything is dark. So, what we're doing here, Ha'ikar hu shehi masur lelokut. Masur lelokut, dedicated, devoted to godliness, is your best pill. Gives you purpose, and when you have purpose, you have stimulation. And when you have stimulation, you have health. And when you have health, you are productive. And when you're productive, you feel good. And when you feel good, you want to give more, etc., etc. It's a cycle. With a little bit of involvement in the business, you close the deal, no effort. It comes to you, you go to them quickly, and it's healthy. Like we said last week, not only you earn, but it stays in the account and it goes into the right places. That was last year. Moving forward to 359, the Rebbe is going more and more practical about this whole idea, and I do want to express how this is connected not only to this week's Parsha, but also connected to Yud Shvat. This week's Parsha, because it's Beshalach and it's talking about Parshas Haman, and the man is about having faith in Hashem. When we go out for Parnasa, you don't know what's going to come today. You have to trust that Hashem is going to give you whatever you need. And when the day is gone and there's nothing left, you have to go to sleep at night and be confident that tomorrow you're going to have everything you need, even though you have no way to explain how it's going to come. That's the tough part. That's this week's Parsha. But in Basi Legani of Yud Shvat, in the Maimer, the Frierdiker Rebbe speaks a lot about Ruach Shtus. The Ruach Shtus, which we learn about in Kuntres, is that a person has Shtus del Umazeh. We have this insanity that we pretend that I'm going to use like we pretend that progressive culture is normal, and that normal is extremism. There are many genders in the universe. Till you need to have a president in 2025 that needs to come and say, under my presidency, there will only be 2 genders. So there is a Ruach Shtus. That's a Ruach Shtus. Or you need to have a president that comes and say, there's no such a thing as Palestine. No, like there's no such a thing. Stop trying to convince the world of an illusion, a lie that does not make sense, that did damage for hundreds of years, and it's not working out. He said it's not working out. Let's move on. Let's find solutions. So there is a Ruach Shtus. How do you correct a Ruach Shtus, a folly? By a Shtus Dikdusha, by another extreme folly. That's what Basi Legani is about. So a lot of this is all taken from Kuntres, from the Rebbe Rashab. So it's very interesting. Now what we're going to learn on Perek Gimel, page 359, Vehine. Kama v'chama mibale asakim. There are many ba'ale asakim, people who are involved in business, in work. Umi ba'ale avoida umelacha, and merchants and people who have jobs, shehem yirei Elokim, that are God-fearing. V'chaviva aleihem atfila. They actually cherish their moment of prayer. I was in the office. I came to pick up a spare pair of tefillin from someone in the office and say, oh, it's in my desk. He was in a meeting, so you can go on my desk and take it and make a little blessing for the desk. So the desk, there's a bunch of guys working in the desk. So I came in and I saw a guy that I know and I said, he asked me to do a blessing on the desk. I guess the best blessing we can do is that you put on tefillin on the desk. So the guy's like, Yeah. Like, he said that I do okay, so we did whatever. He said, give me some time, we finished the thing, whatever. And he felt so good. It's like, this job we're doing, finance, it's very hard to be able to stop from what we're doing in the middle of work because, it's so intense. It's like the ADD is like, you need to be all over the place. And if you don't respond to the client right away, it's like, but maybe I should train myself to take more time during the day and just pause and do my meditation and pray. So that's what the guy told me. So there are many Balei Asakim that cherished prayer. Because I told him, this is what prayer is about. We have one in the morning. That's what I told him. I said, we have one in the morning to set you up for the day. We have one in the evening for the closing of the day, to set you up for your night. But then there's one in the middle of the day to distract you from your occupation. To remind you that you don't have to do what you're doing now. And you know what? You're going to stop in the middle. Because if you can't stop in the middle, it means you're feeling forced to do what you're doing. So you are idolizing what you're doing. And then it's over. You don't believe. And you're a slave. You're enslaved by what you're doing. Same thing with Shabbos. There's 7 days in the week. 6 days you have to work. If the seventh day you can't stop from working, then you're forced to do what you're doing. You're not enjoying what you're doing. It's not a passion. If you manage to stop, not for a cigarette, not for a drink, not to go to the bathroom, not to scroll on your phone, to pray, to connect to your Creator, that's the only reason you're stopping. Otherwise, you know what? Don't waste your time. Go back to work. You're able to stop for your Creator because you need that connection. Then you're a free man. Then you're a powerful man. So many of them, chaviv aleim atfilah, v'chen hagvius itim laTorah. They enjoy and cherish having set times for learning, for studying. B'shiurim shoinim, with various types of Torah shiurim classes, benigle or bedach, whether it's nigle, the revealed part of Torah, or whether it's studying Chassidus. V'libam yich'av aleim b'me'od k'she'enam yecholim b'tzibur. And their heart will, will be painful for their heart to not be able to have those moments. Sometimes they have to compromise. Or when they cannot pray with the minyan, or when they enam yecholim lishtatev b'shir limudim mikvius itim laTorah barabim, like this famous humorist who said that when you smoke and you ask for a person, do you have fire? They tell you, sorry, I don't smoke. So you see, people who don't smoke feel sorry. When you ask them, do you have fire? They feel sorry they don't smoke. Okay? So when you're unable to participate, like there's someone who wrote to me, I won't be able to attend today. Sorry, he felt sorry that he's unable to attend. He wants to attend. He wants to be part of the class. This is what he wants, what he likes. This is his energy. Big views at itim laTorah berabim. And then what happens? Mehem mis'amtzim be'oimez rav lispal b'tzibur. So some of them still manage, like, you know what, I still want to daven with a minyan, I want to go to shul every day. So what do? They come. And when they come late, and leave early, and they rush. They rush their prayer, and they rush to run to their iskeim u'mischam, to their business or to their job. And they don't have the mind to even attend, like, you know what, I'm going to stay later for the shir. I have to go. I'm sorry, I have to go. Because besides, first of all, they're very busy. Right? They're very busy, so they don't have time. But even when they're not busy, you know what's the problem? Their mind is not there. The mind is not prepared. Their entire brain and mind is filled with mischaram v'inyaneim agashmim, and their physical, material needs, mibilti yecholes lekabel divrei Torah, without being able to embrace Torah concepts. we learned at the beginning of Kuntres to embrace Torah concept, you need to have a refined brain. A brain that is fully saturated with physical things. It doesn't have the space for refinement and spirituality. Even their prayer is constantly interrupted by foreign thoughts. They forget what they're davening. So they are in shul. They came for the minyan. They came late. They're leaving early. They can't stay for the shir. And when they're praying, their mind is all over. And you're like, they can't even remember where they're holding. Like, how many times you start, like. ורק משיגרא דלישנא, הנה סיסוסיהם נועז וליבם בלעימם. I love the literature of the text over here. Because of the habit, the routine of praying, they say the words, but their heart, their lips are in motion, but the heart is numb. ובכל זה, הרי יש להם הקבלת עול להתפלל בציבור על כל פנים. But at least they're still committed to come to shul, and give them credit. By the way, you come to shul, Kuntres 70, you see people, they come in, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is beautiful, because, first of all, he could have stayed home and do it, and no one would have known. Like, we criticize the guy who comes to shul late and leaves early, but the guy couldn't come home, could have stayed home and do it very quickly. He came to shul. Give them credit. At least they managed to come to shul. They're struggling. Now there's another category of people, which, by the way, all those categories can be found in ourselves. Okay? Because we have multiple modes. So instead of saying there are those who are too busy, even more busy, I'm going to say sometimes we get even more distracted ourselves. You know what? Mondays and Thursdays I go to shul for Kriyat Torah. The rest is not important. It's like Shabbos in shul, right? During the whole davening, speaking around. Kedusha, nobody speaks. Why? That's why everybody stands and 2 minutes before was okay to speak. 2 minutes after it's okay to speak. Oh, Kedusha. Kedusha. Or like this Shabbos Yud. We know that the Rebbe says that every chassid should get an aliyah, just like before the yortzeit of your father, you get an aliyah. So a chassid should get an aliyah. Now, that letter where the Rebbe says that every chassid should get an aliyah has over 10 requirements as part of the preparation for the yortzeit of the Rebbe on Yud Shvat. Guess what? Most of them, no one does. The aliyah one, I didn't get an aliyah, and people find I didn't get an aliyah. Yeah. The Maimer, did you learn? The tzedakah before Shaitan. The Mishnayos, did you learn? The candle. The tzedakah, the candle. The candle.
Requires at least work.
Yeah. And it has the most, and it gives you the more satisfaction. It gives you the biggest satisfaction. So Sheni v'chamishi, I come to shul. Okay? V'kulam mitnatzlim. And they all apologize. They all have excuses. Remember what we said? You cannot do both. You're either making excuses or making money. You cannot do both. Yeah. Okay? Because of their job, because of their parnasa, they can't daven with a minyan. ובפרט להשתתף באיזה שיעור של לימוד. Can't join the shir. I come to the shir, I fall asleep, I can't do the shir. I'm distracted, I'm thinking, I'm rubbed at this, but I can't. מפני שכל שכלם עסוק במסחרם ואינם יכולים לקבל דברי תורה. והנגע הרע הלזו, הנה לבד זו אשר כל ימי השבוע חיים חיי בהמה. So this terrible habit, despite the fact that the whole week they're living a life like, it's a nice friendly word for that, like a beast. It could sound positive. Like it could sound, just a little bit. Because if you're like an animal that doesn't sound good. But like a beast, like they're working hard.
Don't be smart.
Yeah.
That's the point.
They're going for the kill. They're going for the kill. But much worse than that. Guess what? The beast is better than them. The Navi, the prophet said, Yadasho Konehu. The bull knows its master. Vachamoir Evus Be'olov. And the donkey knows who is the master that feeds him. Right? Israel leyada amilo is beinan. So even the animal knows where the food comes from. But the Israel, the Jew, I give him everything and he doesn't recognize that it comes from me. And when he comes, I need my moment with him. I want to be intimate with him. Once a day, twice a day, I'm very possessive. I want to own this relationship. And every time I try to get intimate with him, what does he do? I have to go take care of this. Oh, I have to go take care of that. Once it's a good excuse, twice it's a good excuse, but eventually, when it's becoming a habit, then there's something is wrong. Right? You want to be intimate with someone you love, and every time you want to give up, I have to go. Okay, so one time he's like, I'm too tired. I need to. The baby. My father's calling. Okay, at some point, you're not there. You're not part of this. You're not even aware. הרי דרכם המוזרה והנהגה סמרה בימי החול גוירם רעה אשר גם ביום השבס שאז הם פנויים מעסקיהם ומסחרם הנה משתמשים בו לעניין יכולים. What happens is that because of the terrible habits, the terrible cycle of the weekdays, Shabbos comes, and instead of utilizing Shabbos properly and elevating oneself and optimizing, maximizing the amazing opportunity of the time of Shabbos to be productive and the holier and more spiritual and spend more time with the family, on the contrary, they spend Shabbos on mundane, profane things. Besides the fact that they are literally exhausted from the work, their body is resting, can't move. Shabbos comes, I have such a crazy week. I can't. הרי הנה מלבד זו ישראל על ידי הנהגה סמים מיסחול נסעבו ונסגשמו כל כך כי גם ביום השבס קודם שהוא יהיה מהמנוחה בשביל להרבויז ותפילה בלימוד התורה הנה בא לעסוק עם הטרודים מסוגים הנעל מחללים את קדושת השבס בעניין ההבל והמטיילים. Instead of spending Shabbos utilizing the holy time as a resource to recharge spiritually, they're spending their time. How was the roast? How was the meat? How was the wine? How was the this? How was the that? About the watch? Where are you going? You flew business? Which trip? You made a stopover? You made a stopover? You get how many miles you have? You get a point? That's what they do. To be continued.